Hey, I just wanted to do a short video about the Diamine InkVent calendar without having any real spoilers in it. This is really aimed for folks who are on the fence, as I was last year, about whether to get one or not. So I'm just going to talk sort of generally about what you find in it, mention a couple things that irritate me about it, a couple of things that delight me about it, without actually showing you any of the colors. Now, I will show a couple of colors from the 2021 and 2020 sets. So if you really want to be 100% spoiler free and get an InkVent calendar, even an older one, turn this off now. Go watch an old episode of Columbo. You can stop watching me now. Anyway, so I had no interest in this InkVent calendar that everybody was so jazzed about until last year. I actually saw one of the bottles from the year before. And I mean, isn't that just the cutest little thing? And I thought, oh my God, are all the bottles little and cute like that? I have to have it. So I ordered last year's InkVent calendar, which didn't come in little glass bottles like this. Yeah, it's glass. But rather came in little plastic squared off bottles like this, which are also very cute, but don't quite have the charm of the 2020 calendar. A couple of very practical reasons for that, that I think the 2020 is superior. Glass bottles are neat, yeah. But also this has a cap that's knurled, which is just easier to open and close. They just have a very nice little feel. Also, one of my gripes, especially as I'm aging, about these little bottles is that they're pretty hard to read. And the new InkVent calendar, like last year's, has printed on the front the name of the ink, and then on the side, there's a tiny little bit that tells you what kind of ink it is. Is it standard? Is it sheening? Is it shimmering? What are the special properties of the ink inside? Well, on these little bottles, you probably can't in this video, but you can actually read that fairly clearly. The name of the ink and the type of ink it is are written on the front label. Now, a little bit of this matters, whether what the colors are and that sort of thing. But I find with this year's set, it is almost impossible, no matter what the color combination, to read this. Half the time, I took my camera and took a picture so I could enlarge it. And also, some of the ones, I believe, are kind of in a script, which makes it even worse. The name is certainly in a script, but I think even some of these side things in the first few bottles were in a script. I might be mistaken about that. In any event, hard to read, and that's a problem. I mean, just because the thing's small doesn't mean it needs to be illegible. For instance, as I say, the 2020s were fairly legible. All of it was on the front label, yada, yada. Another little gripe that I have is that, you know the idea with the ink calendar. So it's 25 of these little bottles of a new ink from Diamine, and you open one a day during Advent. Well, yeah, of course. I ain't waiting to open them. I'm opening them all. I have them all opened except the grand finale right now. So it would all right. So I have a stack of these InkVent calendar boxes now. This is what this year's looks like from behind. Quick flash. I don't think you'll be able to see the ink names, but just in case, you might want to avert your eyes for a moment. This is what the front looks like, mostly open. So you're supposed to open them once a day. Well, you know, I didn't do that. It would be nice if the bottles themselves were labeled in order. Just because, you know. Maybe I don't want to keep them in this box all the time, but I've got some, you know, I want to know which day is which day I open them, or the order of them or something. Anyway, I think that would be nice to identify them numerically as well. And really, would that be so hard to put a 1 here of 24 here? Right. Anyway, even on the little, this is last year's now, even on a little square bottle. So as for the inks themselves, and again, I'm not going to reveal any colors, but you get some that are shimmer, like this is last year's again, that you can see the shimmer on the side, or shimmer inside, shake them, give them a good shake. Some are sheening. This year, there are some that are scented. There are some that are what's called chameleon, and I haven't quite figured out exactly what that is. I mean, I think I know what it is, but that's the thing I don't want to reveal. I want you to experience that without any preview from me. Anyway, yeah, so you get a variety of little inks. There is plenty of, I haven't done this, but there's plenty of ink in here for at least, I would say, 3 converter fills, maybe 4. I haven't looked at the actual size of these bottles, but they're more than 2 millimeter. I mean millimeter. Well, milliliters. They're probably 3, maybe even 4. I don't know. Anyway, it's a nice sample size. I use them. I only dip these things, and then I wait in January when they start coming out in big bottles, and I start buying all the big bottles for the ones that I like. So the fact that you can't get larger pens inside the neck of the bottle is not a thing for me. My MO is to take one of the bottles. This is one of the new ones, but I will turn the name toward me. I take the little bottles and I open them. Another little gripe. The bottles are all wrapped in plastic, right? And it's not easy to get off. There's a seam, but it's not perforated. Would it have killed them to perforate that seam and make it so you could get this stuff off like in a bottle, like a bottle of aspirin? So I have to take a knife. This happens to be a gorgeous wooden knife made by my friend Nancy. Beautiful. So I have to take a knife and I kind of get it going and chip at it. And yeah, sometimes I use my teeth. So I get that open. And then if it's an ink that has significant sheen or is a shimmer ink, I will use this little syringe to put a drop here, because a drop will show those properties better than a swab. So I put a drop on this little coloring ink card, which I have stamped with this self-inking stamp that I got from Etsy, which I think is adorable. So put a little drop in there, and I'm not very neat about it. There are some people who get these stamps. You get stamps that are modeled on specific bottles, and they're very careful about coloring in the lines. I don't know, it's just an ink drop. Then I put the name. I put down here which InkVent calendar and what number it is. I put a color swatch on the side. Yeah, so this is not from the InkVent calendar. This is just a Diamine Aurora Borealis. So that means, one of the things I like about that is I can very quickly take my big set of swatches and I can kind of flip through it and go, oh yeah, I'm looking for a blue. Where's a good blue? That sort of thing. Now, some people, how they organize their inks is a whole other thing. I like to put them in alphabetical order by maker and name. Okay, what else? I think those are the main things I wanted to cover. I find that it's really fun just spending a day like I am today, swabbing these inks. The colors are they're just gorgeous and fun to play with. Many of them will never, ever, ever, most of them will never, ever find their way into a pen, but it's just a fun way to play with inks. This year's calendar it's running somewhere around $120. If you're careful, you can find folks who are selling it for closer to 100. I got mine on Fountain Pen Day and got a super deal and got it for $66. So, yeah. InkVent calendar. If you like swabbing inks, it's a fun little thing to have, and it doesn't completely break the bank. I'll put in a couple of still photos showing, comparing the bottles. It'll be 2020, 2021, and then 2022, I'll turn the name away from the camera. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.